When you think about the mayor's race here in New York City, and there's so many issues, there's so many cross-cutting themes, but one issue is, leave aside Mondami's inexperience, leave aside his policy positions that are socialist or communist or whatever they are. He's trying to become a Muslim mayor of New York City, and some cities have had Muslim mayors, but obviously the biggest city in New York, and not surprising but disappointing, that hasn't been handled very well, right? People who are bigoted against him have expressed that, and he, I believe, has exploited the issue and made up things that aren't true. What are your thoughts on where it says we are as a city, as a country, that someone could become the first Muslim mayor? That's good if you want pluralism and opportunity, regardless of faith, but also where we are in terms of how it's been treated in the race.
Well, I think pluralism is the right word to use here, because that his election, putting his ideology aside, is reflective of a more pluralistic country that we're always seeking to achieve in America. And you're right, I have been disappointed in recent weeks as the election gets closer, and I think more of the establishment starts panicking that he might really get elected. And you've seen, for example, the endorsement when Eric Adams was standing next to Andrew Cuomo, using some unfortunate dog whistle type rhetoric to just make Mamdani seem as extreme and foreign and ethnic and different as possible. And those are comments that I don't appreciate. I think that whoever you are, regardless of where you are in the political spectrum, you should be winning based on what you believe is right for the future, not trying to tie Mamdani in with Islamic extremism abroad, which has nothing to do with his candidacy. And so I do think this is always a challenge in America. And we saw it even when Obama was running for president. There's long been a playbook to try and make people just seem more foreign than they actually are. And I think it's incumbent on the people who are trying to be the first of something to play twice as well, to be taken equally as seriously, and not give people a chance to discredit their campaigns.
I almost always so completely agree with you that I just said spellbound and listen. But what you just said, one thing I don't agree with, respectfully, I want to ask you. You said it's got nothing, Islamic extremism overseas has nothing to do with his candidacy. He's associated with people, not in a kind of long ago or indirect way. He's posed for smiling photos with folks and praised folks who have expressed views that are offensive to people. And whether you want to call it Islamic extremism or not, I've been, again, critical of him because he sort of wants to have it both ways. He wants to say and do things that are offensive to people, and then he wants to either fudge his position or lie about his position or not engage on his position in ways that really unsettle a lot of people and make them suspicious. So if he said, I'm not taking any positions on any foreign policy issues, I'm not going to meet with people who have controversial foreign policy positions, I want this to be about affordability, that'd be one thing. But hasn't he opened the door to some of these criticisms? Not dog whistles, but legitimate questions about the judgment of an inexperienced 34-year-old man who wants to be mayor of New York City, which does have foreign policy because it's New York City.
Yeah, I do think he needs to be held accountable for any endorsement that he is trotting out there as a key part of his campaign. He needs to be certainly accountable to the positions he's had in the past. He also has positions right now that many people, including myself, would consider outside of the mainstream. For example, having government-run grocery stores. So sure, make the case for those things. I think that's what he needs to be held accountable for. What Eric Adams was doing in his press conference was talking about Islamic terrorism abroad in the same sentence that he was talking about Mamdani. So it was a little bit too cute. He didn't say that Mamdani is responsible for that, but he did say it in consecutive sentences.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. Although my problem is, even though he's the mayor of my city, I don't take Eric Adams seriously. I probably Probably should hold him accountable since he was endorsing Cuomo, but I just can't take him seriously. I'm a huge believer in what you're doing, and I hope you succeed. But I always go back to this: we had 3 consecutive 2-term presidents, Clinton, Obama, Bush, and Obama, who by their history, their inclination, their determination, their announcement speeches, their convention speeches, their inaugural addresses, you couldn't find 3 guys more determined to bring the country together and more equipped to do it and more willing to stand up to their own party, more willing to, very knowledgeable about the origins of it. And not only did each of them leave office more polarizing, Clinton is a slight exception, but certainly Bush and Obama, they left office more polarizing than when they came in. And Clinton didn't achieve anything like the level of unity he wanted. And now Obama and Bush in particular, they're virtually silent. They're following the rule. If you're former president, you're not supposed to speak out. But Bush doesn't stand up to the extremism in his party. Obama every so often does it, and then he gets beaten up by the far left, and he stops. How could we? If you agree with me that I think a president's essential, but certainly it's important, certainly a part of setting our political culture. If those 3 guys couldn't do it, who could do it?
It's a great question. It's a question I've thought a lot about, especially in relation to Obama. I think each of those presidents had their moments. In fact, the one I was just thinking of with our last conversation about Mamdani was President Bush, I think, extraordinary effort immediately after 9/11.
Totally. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say you're absolutely right. Each of them had their moments. You could do a catalog of things each of them did, but in total, the
right.
proof's in the pudding. They didn't leave the country's political culture less polarized. So sorry, but you're right. I do want to highlight the moments, like the one you said. What Bush did after 9/11 for the Muslim American community and for the country as a whole was heroic.
Absolutely. And I think the way that Obama articulated his vision leading up to his election in 2008 was really beautiful. And I think our whole country needs to reflect on really what happened. And I have a lot. And I'm what I would call an Obama originalist, going back to his 2004 speech. And sometimes I felt that I still believe in that mission when many of the people around Obama I've worked with and met don't really believe in that mission. Some of them are the most partisan operatives that I've met in politics. And sometimes I'm left thinking, wait, I really believe in what this guy was saying in 2004. I'm not sure about all of them. And so I think there are a couple problems here. One is if you want to get elected, especially to high office, you do need to work with super partisan consultants. And a lot of times they end up driving the messaging. And often that is at the expense of this more unifying message that I think America needs. I think the other thing is that no single president has the ability to truly execute this vision. That's one key realization I had coming into 2012, 2013, which is why I started an organization to build a movement of the next generation of lawmakers who can really take the vision of a better kind of political culture where we respect each other, have real conversations and constructive disagreement, and implement it. And Mark, I'm excited to say that has happened in terms of that organization. There's about 2,000 young elected officials across the country, many of whom have stood up to their parties in some extraordinary ways. In fact, I'll give a quick example. The gerrymandering reform that happened in Ohio during Republican leadership, when Republicans had gerrymandered that state, the reform was led by a Republican who is a leader in our organization, who was the Secretary of State at the time, named Frank LaRose. And so we see all these examples of political courage. It just hasn't truly affected the zeitgeist yet in the stories we choose to tell as a country. That's why I'm so focused on media right now.
You ever notice those creepy ads that pop up on your phone and seem to know exactly where you've been, what you've bought, even the people you've been talking about? You've probably asked yourself, is this phone monitoring me? Well, the truth is your smartphone is constantly collecting and leaking data without your knowledge and without your consent. Every day, it builds a detailed profile of your life, your location, your habits, your interests, even the people you communicate with. That information is then funneled into an invisible marketplace where it's tracked, analyzed, and sold to the highest bidders. It's not just annoying, it's invasive, and it's happening all the time. But the Up phone by Unplugged is different. It's designed to protect your privacy from the ground up. No hidden trackers, no data mining, just a secure, streamlined smartphone experience that puts you back in control. Whether you're texting, browsing, or using any app, the Up phone ensures your personal information stays personal. It's the phone for people who are done being watched. Are you ready to take back your digital privacy? You can. Visit unplugged.com/Mark and get $25 off a phone case with the purchase of a phone. Learn more and order your Up phone today. That's unplugged.com/Mark, because your life should be yours, not theirs.